continuous, but where it is, it's like Swiss cheese. There's holes under it, there's ladders over it, there's holes through it. I mean, every imaginable way you could go over this, you definitely can. As Trump said, when he was talking about, well, we're going to build it 10 feet tall, and then there's no way they're going to get over that. And then he stops, he says, well, I guess they could just get like a 12-foot ladder. But, and then he just stops, and you're like, just flat lines, right? I don't know what he's thinking. It's obvious that this is like, you just get a 12-foot ladder. This is a normal thing. So this includes, this is not just people digging holes, but this is just natural erosion and decay based on the fact that you've built this giant architectural thing on shifting ground. One more very dramatic example, okay? In the US-Mexico border, there was a region outside of San Diego in which there was like a kind of marsh river area, like a ravine, and the ravine was deemed insecure because you couldn't, it's like a ravine and there's wetlands and all this stuff in there, so you couldn't really build a border. If you built it at the bottom, then you could just jump over, and if you built it at the top, it might slide down. So they're like, well, let's just fill in the ravine. And so they literally removed a mountain, 2 million cubic feet of mountain. This is the volume of the Empire State Building. They moved a mountain into this ravine and filled it completely. Totally secure. No, not even remotely secure. You can't just do that to a wetland. You can't just fill it with dirt. Walls, borders, wetlands, they don't work like that. You don't just fill them with dirt. So they filled it with dirt, they built the wall, then the rains came, washed all the dirt away, the wall fell into the ravine, massively unsecure situation. Okay, my point is that the border is constantly being eroded by these natural processes. That we don't think about as political agents, but they very much are agents in what it means for there to be a border, for it to be secure, for it to function, to be maintained, has to be reproduced. Okay, so every physical border is subject to the movement of constant self-decomposition, which has consequences for migrants, right? For migrants who use the weak points in the border through natural or other processes, will always look for the weakest point in the border. 2 examples from this. One, the US-Mexico border. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, called the funnel effect. Funnel effect of the US-Mexico border. So the US-Mexico border is pretty dang secure in San Diego. It's pretty secure in El Paso, right? But the places where there are actually, like what happens is it's like huge giant walls, cameras everywhere, it's super monitored, but then you just keep going and if you walked along the wall, you get more and more into the desert. And the wall starts to look more like a rickety old fence. And then it's just gone. And there's just hundreds of miles where there's just nothing. Okay, this is what Trump is talking about. It's like, we need to build a wall, and everyone's like, there is one. There's not, actually, in those areas. But this is actually, so that's the funnel. The funnel is, the easiest place to cross is the place where there's no border. Unfortunately, the most dangerous place to cross is in the middle of the desert where there's no border, and no water, and no food, and snakes, and all kinds of things, right? So this is called, there's a really great book by this journalist whose name I'm forgetting, called The Devil's Highway. But have you guys heard this expression before, the Devil's Highway? So the Devil's Highway is that strip where there's no border. That's the place where migrants cross, and that's the place where migrants die. So since 1994, over 5,000 migrants have died trying to cross that. So on one hand, you could say, well, there's no border. Why is this? The border didn't kill them. How is this border related? There wasn't even a border there. That's not right. On the other hand, you could say, well, it's precisely because of the border that they ended up in the place